Welcome to In Your Neighborhood. I'm your host, Jennifer Wakeman. Our first story takes us to Selinsgrove, where folks from around the area get together to talk to folks from around the world. On December 23, 1900, the first voice transmission was sent over the air by Reginald Fessenden. It didn't take long for amateur radio enthusiasts to grab hold of this new technology. In 1910, the first National Radio Society in the world was founded in Australia. It was quickly followed in the spring of 1911 by the foundation of the first wireless club of Great Britain in Derby, near London. The history of the Susquehanna Valley Amateur Radio Club is almost as long.
This club got started originally back in the 1930s when Westinghouse had a plant up here in Sunbury. That continued into the late 1960s, and then the activity dwindled after Westinghouse left the area. Then in the early 1980s, a bunch of hams around the area got interested again and reformed the club, and that's the club we have now today. It's been going since the early 1980s.
Having a clubhouse is a great advantage for the members of the club.
There's a lot of clubs that are formed, but they don't have a clubhouse like we have. We're quite fortunate and kind of unusual to have a clubhouse facility. Most clubs just meet in public meeting places, churches, county facilities, things like this, but they don't have a fixed permanent site to operate from.
The Susquehanna Valley Amateur Radio Club is most grateful to our friend Jim Taylor of Heritage Aviation for allowing them to use this converted biplane control tower as their clubhouse. Because they have the space provided by Heritage Aviation, the SVARC has quite a large antenna array at their disposal. That's not necessarily the case for all hams.
Most of them have some sort of a station. It can be as elaborate as this or as simple as a handheld radio, which operates, gives us radio coverage locally within about a 50-mile radius.
According to member John Thompson, federal law PRB1 prohibits municipalities from inhibiting a ham's right to put up an antenna.
They are not allowed to prevent you on private property from putting an antenna.
Covenants within housing developments can limit this right, but many hams simply put invisible antennas in their attic that work very well. All hams must have a basic knowledge of radio technology and operating principles. They must also pass an examination for the FCC license to operate on radio frequencies known as the amateur bands. These bands are radio frequencies reserved by the Federal Communications Commission for use by hams at intervals from just above the AM broadcast band all the way up into extremely high microwave frequencies.
There's three classes of license now: a technician, a general, and an extra. And they're more technical involvement at each grade of license, of course extra being the highest.
Once you are licensed, you are free to conduct non-commercial communication across the 26 bands allocated to amateur radio. People become ham operators for a variety of different reasons. Some hams are attracted by the ability to communicate across the country, around the globe, or even with astronauts on space missions. Others may like to build and experiment with electronics. Computer hobbyists enjoy using amateur radio's digital communications opportunities. Those with a competitive streak enjoy contests where the object is to see how many hams in distant locations they can contact. The SVARC showed us some of the QSO cards that they have collected over the years.
Anytime you make a contact with somebody, especially the first time you contact them, you send them a QSL card.
We asked John Thompson, a retired radiologist, to try and make contact with another ham.
What I usually do is I pick a clear frequency and I call CQ. That means CQ.
Okay.
It's like CQ, okay? It's also CQ on code. And that means it's a general call to all stations, please come back to me. And usually you get an answer if you have a decent signal. CQ40, Whiskey 3 Victor Papa Japan. Whiskey 3 Victor Papa Japan, go. Hello, break. Hello, break.
Go ahead there, breaker.
Whiskey 3 Victor Papa Japan. It's we're a club station, just giving a demonstration of a ham radio. The handle is John. We're located in Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania. Go ahead.
Yeah, good copy from you in Pennsylvania there. We're portable operation here in Ontario, Canada. Just across here's Thousand Islands, the bridge here, and on the Canadian side. And we're portable operation here in our seasonal rental unit here. And I'll ship it over to my buddy there, Tommy, over there in New Jersey, KA2ZP. Pick it up there. You copy the breaking station there, Tom? Oh, yeah, I got a good copy on John. You're booming in here, John. Have to forgive me, I got a call here,
We just
John.
fixed this
His
antenna.
name here is Tom, Tango Oscar Mike. The call is Kilo Alpha 2, Zulu Echo Papa. We're in Forked River, New Jersey. About 60 miles south of New York City and about 40 miles north of Atlantic City. How you copy, John?
As you could hear, we were talking to two other amateur radio operators, one in Ontario, Canada, and one in New Jersey. Exchanging technical information and call signs is a must, as each ham logs their contact into software on their computer. While amateur radio can be a lot of fun, it also has a serious side. Ham operators provide communication and technical skills during an emergency. During 9/11, it was ham operators who were able to transmit vital information when all other forms of communication were down. Hurricanes, earthquakes, and floods are also times when the skills of ham operators can save lives. In the 1970s, the National Weather Service created the Skywarn system to receive timely, accurate information about severe weather. Ham operators, including the members of the SVARC, participate in Skywarn, and they relay their sightings directly to the National Weather Service located in State College. Their information allows the NWS to issue warnings of severe weather to the general public. One of the ways the SVARC gives back to their community is by providing communications for the Lewisburg Arts Festival during the street fair.
And the reason I go is to volunteer and help the Lewisburg Arts Festival. Just, have people there with radios so we can help them keep things coordinated, throughout the town. If something's happening on one end, we can, save people steps by talking on the radio. For example, we had two ladies that got separated, older ladies that got separated, so we had a little network that we walked the street and got these two ladies back together. Just simple little things like that that makes the operation for them go a lot smoother. One of the advantages to using a radio is when you speak, not just one person hears you. It's a multitude of people throughout the whole area, which keeps everybody educated as to what's going on at the event.
Al has even used his skills at the Pittsburgh Marathon, where 150 hams were strategically located around the course to assist with communication. Sue Riesinger is a member of the SVARC. As I mentioned earlier, people become amateur radio operators for a variety of reasons.
And I'm really into the education part of it, getting the word out to kids, because I am a teacher. So I'm always looking for ways to get younger kids involved. We sponsored a wreath at the Tree Fest in Selinsgrove a couple years ago, and donated a book to the library that was about ham radio. It was a kid's book about ham radio, yeah. So there's stuff out there if you look for it, about it that can be for kids' level and so they can understand it.
In ham radio lingo, mentoring a new person is referred to as Elmering. While technology constantly evolves, the human interaction between hams will not be replaced and will always remain one of the hobby's strongest traditions. Licensed hams are always looking for ways to welcome new hams and attract others to amateur radio. When we come back, we're going to look at the science behind amateur radio.